Chapter 1. This had been a long time coming. Sadie banged on the door of her father's run-down cabin as loud as she could, and then stood back and waited. In her other hand, she held the folder that Sheriff Cooper had given her before she had left the station. She had a lot of questions for her father. Getting him to answer them honestly, however, now that was another thing. "Who is it?" his voice yelled, just as Sadie saw the curtain in the window twitch. He knew damn well that it was her. She answered him anyway. "It's me, Dad," she yelled, although the words stuck in her throat. He had long ago lost the right to be called that by her. "It's Sadie." There was silence. She banged the door again. "I'm not going anywhere," she yelled, "until you answer this goddamn door." Finally, she heard his footsteps coming toward the door, and she held herself still as she heard the bolts slide back. For just a second, she was a frightened kid again, fearing the wrath of her father, but determined not to show it. Then she took a deep breath, and the moment passed. She wasn't a kid anymore. She was an FBI special agent, an expert in her field in the behavioral analysis unit, who had gotten further and achieved more than her father would have ever believed her capable, and she had done it alone and without his help. There was nothing to be scared of anymore. At least, that was what she told herself. When the door cracked open and his face appeared, her first thought was how ill he looked. She knew that he had terminal cancer, and right now it showed. He had lost weight, his skin was wrinkly and tinged with gray, and his eyes were rheumy with bloodshot irises. She could smell the booze on him, too. Some things never changed. For all his pitiful appearance, however, his eyes burned with something like his old malevolence, causing Sadie to stiffen, preventing herself from taking an instinctive step back. She'd be damned before she would show the mean old bastard any fear. "I told you last time to go away," he said, spitting out his words. Sadie stood her ground. "Sorry, Dad, no can do. I need to talk to you, and you are going to talk to me. It's been too long." He snorted. "Not long enough. What are you doing back here? I saw you in the news," he added. But his tone was accusatory, as though he thought she had returned simply to spite him. Perhaps, on some level, she had. "I had a job to do." "Go and do it, then," he spat. "What do you want with me? Turning up here after all this time, after no word for years." Sadie shook her head, wondering just what story he was telling himself, where he had somehow managed to end up as the victim in their family situation. She didn't have time for this. "I'm not here about me and you, Dad," she said. "I have questions to ask you. And if I have to haul your ass down to Sheriff Cooper's station to get you to answer them, then I swear to God that's exactly what I'll do." He glared at her, but Sadie met his gaze head-on. He went to slam the door in her face once again, but this time Sadie was expecting it and was too quick for him. He looked down in surprise at Sadie's leather-booted foot wedged in between the door and the frame. "Let me in," she said. He stared at her with hatred, and, she was amazed to see, even fear in his eyes. Then, to her surprise, he opened the door. "Well, that was easier than I expected," she thought to herself as she stepped into the small cabin. It hadn't changed much since the last time she had been here, before she left for college and the FBI over a decade ago, when she had been an anxious and rebellious teenager, desperate to get away from Alaska and the memories of her childhood.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.